right, excellent afternoon, viewer. Isn't it always exciting to be with our audience? It gives us great delight to do what we do, giving real talk on national issues and public challenges to our audience, yeah. And it is another Thursday afternoon live from Silverbird Television. Again, I say welcome. And of course, I never do this alone because I'm with my opinionated, exciting, troublesome codes because they've been giving me hell behind closed doors. Let me start with you, Lola. How are you doing today?
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be with you on your favorite lunch hour show on TV. And of course, hanging out with my girls from time to time. Yes.
All right, I'll take the troublesome part of it. I know that title belongs to me, but anyway, I take it with my full chest. But anyway, we're in Nigeria and we're in Lagos at the moment. Good afternoon from everywhere you're watching us. It is another long time show. Please stay with us. We're going to be exclusive today.
You know, Dami, let me start. I know that you look beautiful today. In as much as there are a lot happening in Nigeria or in Lagos, to be precise, you know, what have you been up to?
I think the first thing for me is that I would like to appeal to our men in uniform. There's a whole lot of
men in
uniform, from the military to the paramilitary, because there's a whole lot of tension even with Nigerians. We see you people as succor. We see you people as, oh, it lives in my head like, if I have a problem, I can walk into a police station. Now, I'm going to get into a police station willingly, and I'll be made to do what is against my will, because at the end of the day, the story might be turned around. So it shows us that our morals, some values we have lost. We have not taken credence to some of our own works, the things that we do. Accountability. I know that Kike always emphasizes on accountability. Most of our uniform men don't take account for what they do. Own up with your full chest. When you do something, I mean, it's okay for you to seek forgiveness. But a lot of them, the way they misbehave these days is being unruly. I saw a video of a policeman taking bribe, and I said, you know what, this thing might never stop, because it didn't start today. It's gone way too far. And the way they make it seem like it's a rightful thing that they are doing, it's another appalling case. So please, that's just what I have to say today.
The insecurity doesn't even worry me like hunger in the land. Have you noticed how expensive things are in the market? Exactly. Things are way expensive.
A bag of
and
beans
I'm wondering, bag of beans is more expensive than
naira.
Rice.
Yes. Rice is still on 30,000 and bag of beans is 100.
Exactly. So how do you want to come on?
How do you want to eat rice and beans together?
I don't think both of us are all on the same page. I want to go for vacation.
Yes, you know, Kike. A lot of people in Nigeria actually think vacation is luxury. It is not.
No, but if I would also,
hard,
okay,
you should take time off to be able to re-energize yourself, rejuvenate yourself, recalibrate yourself.
Okay.
So it's not luxury as far as I'm concerned. Every year you should even work and save up
for vacation.
To have that little time.
Now, can I ask you, where do you want to go to?
Maldives.
That's it. We keep enriching these people's economy. There are a lot of Maldives, supposed Maldives, organized Maldives in this country. You know how many waterfalls we have? You know how many tourist attractions we have? They managed to build Almighty Tinapa. And after then, what did we hear?
How do you want tourism to thrive?
When there is no security. That's what I'm saying. So we need to go back to the root. Now she's going to take her money to Maldives, or to Peru, or to Dubai, or to Seychelles, Mauritius, Zanzibar. And hello, there's Ile-Ife. We have some water for Gurara waterfall.
She's been to Ile-Ife recently.
Yes, sir.
She's gone to Iwo.
What we are saying.
So please, can she step out of the shores and let foreign breeze blow her?
Hello. Has she been to any tourist sites in the north? Has she been to anyone in the east? That's what we are saying, okay? Because a lot of insecurity now is hovering around a lot of parastatals or ministry. Now, insecurity has held the balls of tourism.
Yes.
So if we develop our tourist sites, or if we start from security,
Jami, we're going to make you advocate of the Nigerian
tourism board, because there's a lot to harness in this country, but we don't take preeminence of it. Oh, sad, and we are looking for money elsewhere.
All right,
we'll keep borrowing.
Let's go on a quick break.
On this day in history, exactly 61 years ago, on the 7th of October 1960, on this day, Nigeria joined the United Nations. In the statement made by the British Foreign Secretary, Christian Hatta At the General Assembly, Nigeria was officially endorsed by unanimous votes as the new independent state member. Nigeria became the 99th member of the United Nations. One of the earliest and most significant contributions to the UN was to provide troops.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. You know, there are quite a lot of things happening behind closed doors right now, and I'm trying to manage all at the same time. So, you know what, quickly, because I know we've run out of time, what's your submission on this day in history in 30 seconds?
I think that Nigeria joined the United Nations in 61 years ago, and I also know that about 5 years, around 2014, 2015, Nigeria was supplying. They were part of the National Security Council, United Nations Security Council, and Nigeria supplied the 5th largest number of peacekeepers in the United Nations peacekeeping operations. But now, years after, our own security architecture is dilapidated.
Honestly, I share your sentiment like 100%. But it's so good to have the economy, the continent, the African continent come together, because there's so much that can be achieved when our purposes are aligned, and that's what the United Nations stand for. And it's such a great thing that we're part of this, because when it comes to that which you spoke about, peacekeeping and other, you know, diplomatic issues, it makes things a little easier for us as a nation. But yeah, there's one.
All right, quickly, I don't think that we can afford to go on another break. I think my own submission on this is the fact that Nigeria became the 99th member of the United Nations, which I feel that is actually good for us. In as much as I'm not sure what our contribution have been thus far, I don't know if I can actually.
No, then it was said that we contributed soldiers.
Whatever. No. Going straight to the topic of the day, because we've run out of time, the challenges confronting the power and energy sector of Nigeria are numerous, you know, and would I say is uncalled for, and the government's contributing to resolving these challenges are not enough, and the electrical energy supply to Nigeria keeps fluctuating in megawatts and unstable increase when it comes to the expanding of population of Nigeria that we're going through today, and the frustration with Nigerians as well, especially with the electricity supply, which is the fact that people are paying higher and the service they provide are not met. And on the show today, we will be having a real talk from both sides of the coin to have a balanced perspective on the topic today. And our discussion will revolve around the challenges of DISCO, the complaints of the consumers of electrical energy, and what brings us together when it comes to energy sector, when it comes to the transformation and reformation of this topic at hand. But I know that I might not be able for us to play our guest profile, but we can be rest assured that the person who I have invited here today can speak on DISCO better than even any other person, because he's the spokesperson when it comes to the topic at hand, and of course he's the executive director of the Association of National Electricity Distribution. You know, Dami, I know that this is not new to you, especially those of you who are on the mainland, and the news report says that residents in Ikeja and Magodo and Ojodu, I think Omoli as well, and 5 other communities, you know, are experiencing some blackouts. I think they said it's going to be for 8 weeks or so. And I wish that we'll be able to, you know, connect our guests before we go on another break. But I must ask you, don't you think that this is, for me, it's majorly loss of millions of businesses for those people who are around that vicinity, aside the fact that they'll be going through a lot of discomfort for residents in that area. So I must ask you, what's your take regarding this 8 weeks blackout? How would it affect the lives of those people in that area, and of course concentrating on the entrepreneurs, SME people there?
Okay, I would like to read an excerpt I saw on one of the online news I read. It says the chief technical officer of Ikeja Electric, Olajide Kumakpai, said that the project, which will begin on October 11, was tailored towards increasing the capacity of the transmission lines to generate more power for the generation companies. One, he told newsmen on Monday that some of the 132K lines installed over 50 years ago had become obsolete and degraded over time, and stressed the need for the upgrade. Now that's where I'm going. Obsolete. 50 years. Nigeria lacks maintenance. That's why we are going to be in blackout for 8 weeks. If this thing had been maintained earlier before now, we will not get to this point. It's just like when I remember when the Third Mainland Bridge 2 was undergoing reconstruction and renovations. You put us into 6 months of turmoil, 6 months of anguish, trying to get to work, trying to calculate time, trying to get back, and we are here to and fro, we are facing it. It just goes back to the foundation that we lack. It's something that we didn't pass on to, Nigeria did not pass on to its citizens. So it has become an habitual thing that we lack maintenance. If I read in this thing that it was that 50 years obsolete, I'm driving myself back to 50 years ago. So this thing had been in existence in 50 years. Somehow there must have been allocation for it and somebody might have siphoned the money. Now the need is they are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. They have to attack it. So how will
it just begs your understanding, the things that we do in this country. And you are wondering that some of these things are not rocket science. If we're still talking about equipment used 50 years ago, how do you, that means that we're not even thinking of, all this equipment come with instructions on how to maintain them. It's just like our cars. If you have a car and you don't service it, when you should service it, of course it's going to break down and you will not be able to fix it. You will not spend more money fixing something that you could have been maintaining regularly. And I'm wondering that every year for the past 50 years, there have been billions and billions of naira allocated to electricity. So where are we seeing it? Many of us was even happy that, okay, when it transitioned into private-public partnership, things are going to get better. But I don't see where the better is coming from. Even the private sector that bought over NEPA is still complaining. And we still cannot generate it. Is it every year that we don't have rains? By now we should know that, okay, there's a certain time that Kanji or any of the places that we generate electricity goes down. So these are the palliatives. These are the measures we put on ground to make sure that it augments for those times.
Sure.
But it's as if every time that there's no rain, we go back to the fact that, oh, we cannot generate enough electricity. So what have we been doing for the past few years? That countries are even moving to mad solar. I saw something in China that they are generating electricity. The solar panel, they are working on it. They are putting it under their highways. I'm like, that is where they are focusing on.
Future.
We are still in the Stone Age, wanting an equipment that has been running for years to keep running at the same capacity. Do you know that the capacity they put the electricity, the machines to, 50 years, by now it is way beyond.
Bring a 50-year-old
All right,
age
guys,
person.
many thanks for that. I think that we've been able to connect to our guest. Again, excellent afternoon, Chief Oduto. Can you hear me, please? And for me, I just want us to really touch on the business angle of this, for this blackout. And I don't think that we've done justice to that angle, in as much as I understand your analysis thus far. But can we just, just try and visualize what amount of money these people would lose?
Do you know that
in the next 8 weeks?
The fact that we don't even have good electricity. Do you know how many
that the government does not really support? I'm sorry, I take it back. Not all SMEs are being supported. But the question is, quite a number of people are actually, they borrowed money from banks and the likes, and when there's no electricity to actually
be productive.
Do you know how many
what's going to happen to the businesses?
How many manufacturing companies have left the shores of Nigeria just because of electricity does not support your business? As an entrepreneur, you value your business, and that is what determines the unit cost. So by the time you are producing something as tiny, you're selling something as small as pure water. Can you imagine now we're buying some pure water sachets for like 100 naira? Because everything you do, you have to value it and get the cost from the unit of your business. So definitely entrepreneurs are struggling. Some are even folding up their businesses. Those that cannot even afford to provide power for themselves, they would have to fold up the business eventually, and it affects every kind of business, even from the baker.
Yeah.
Because do you know how much gas? Do you know that gas has increased?
Absolutely.
Electricity, non-existent. So where do you even want to be able to afford?
Then the charge comes back on
to the consumers.
To the consumers. And then we cry and say, oh no, things are getting expensive. It keeps rolling around.
All right, Dami, let's bring it back to the quality of power supply, because I know quality of power supply hasn't relatively gotten better, even with all the hikes in tariff, so to speak, you know. So do you think that the high tariff and the services we get is actually commensurate with what we're getting today? And some areas, let me concentrate on some areas, you know, because I remember that no. I remember the last time when we spoke about electricity, the likes of Dami and Marshall came after me that I've not experienced blackout in 20 years.
And that's because that's providing your
you should
own
not
electricity.
be on this platform talking.
No, you are.
And I'm wondering, I'm paying for the service.
It's not.
Dami, you were saying something earlier.
So now I was saying that I know that, do you know, I'm sure you know that Nigeria also supplies some African countries electricity. Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Niger. And now, another excerpt that I read, I think is the acting managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and chairman executive board of West African Power Pool, WAP, Sule Abdulaziz, disclosed that the power we will be selling is the power that is not needed in Nigeria.
Ha! What's not needed?
That's the most hilarious thing I read in this week. The power they are selling is the power that is not needed. Please, what don't we need?
What don't we need? You know,
even to the crumbs. Has it gone round?
It's just.
I've been involved in 3 buildings recently, and the challenge has been even getting meter. There's been so much, and the power suppliers are telling them that, you know what, the meter is going to take so long, and the only way around it is that we'll give you estimated bill, and you can just tell your tenants, or you can begin to pay ahead, and they're about charging them an estimated bill of 40,000 naira in a month. Now, everybody keeps going around and around, and it seems like there's no particular office or table that sorts out this problem.
Yeah,
you
but
have issues of meter distribution, and sometimes in last year, I think it was Senator Shehu Adamu that came to uncover a PHCN office that had rotten meter. They abandoned the meters outside. They left it under the rail, under the cell.
Many
and
thanks
then
for
everything
that.
got decayed.
Hello, Chief Oduntan, can you hear me now?
Oh, he's back.
And there's nothing like PCN anymore. You, the influencer, you are the one that are supposed to educate Nigerians so that they can understand what has changed since 2013. Number 2, every meter you see has a lifespan. It's usually a maximum of 10 years. So any meter that has been kept by the previous PSCN or NEPA, or even Discos, once the meters have been around for 10 years, we're supposed to have another meter. So it is not unusual to find so-called rotten meter if those meters are not functional, if those meters cannot serve its purpose. That's another thing I would like us to understand. Now, you asked me a question about tariff before the silver board Wi-Fi went down. Unfortunately, I'm currently in England. I wish I'd been in Nigeria. These two, madam, I would have loved to sit down in the midst of you 3 women and then be your temporary husband for 30 minutes and explain things both on and offline. Okay, because it appears that what is wrong with Nigerian power sector is lack of information. These are good Nigerians, these 3 good ladies, and the 2 ladies. You want the best for Nigeria, you mean well, but unfortunately, some of the information or things you are saying are really at variance with the reality on the ground. But I understand, Nigerians want electricity, and they are entitled to have electricity. Nigerians want the best service from the service providers. They're entitled to that. So I do understand the frustration that we do have as Nigerians when we don't have exactly what we want. In the last few days, there has been a lot of media hype accusing us, Discos, that we are planning, in this case, Ikeja Electric, that we are planning to have to bring darkness to Lagos. They call it shutdown.
Blackout.
They call
it the 8 weeks blackout.
Blackout.
Yeah.
Those are very wrong misconception. Those are wrong use of words. Unfortunately, we all pay money to study English. I wish you can all understand the Egba language and pick the Yoruba Egba so that you understand.
All right, sir.
Now,
you know,
the truth, I want to put the record straight. The truth of what is going on is that there's a need for TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, to do some network improvement. They need to change loads of cables. And to do that, there's a need for them to switch off the light because they cannot do that while electricity is on. So that is the reason for the planned outages. It's outages. In the morning, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Chief Oduntan, many thanks for that. But I need to actually punch off some of the submission that you gave earlier, because I know that Nigeria has the capacity to generate 12,522 megawatts of electricity from hydro and solar resources or resource. You know, however, we are only able to dispatch 4,000 megawatts for 200 million Nigerians. So I would like to know why this gap, and how can you describe the actions of the Ministry of Power towards optimum power generation and distribution?
Okay, I'm not the Minister for Power.
I understand.
I do not work for the government, and I'm not a regulator. I do not work for them. But we need to be fair on people that are in charge of events in this country. You cannot solve the adversity of 50 years in 6 years. It's not possible. What has happened to the Nigerian power sector, without blaming anybody or previous governments, but what has happened really is that since independence, we have not really planned properly for electricity. Okay. Electricity has to be planned with population. So when you now have people who are now in NEC today, and you are blaming them, or Ministry of Power today, what about those who are there in 1991, 1993, or 1964? So the problem is that as the population grew, we failed to grow our quantum of electricity. So you are right, that why should we be thinking about 12,000 megawatts for 200 million people? That is true, but to be honest with you, where we are now is a bit messy in terms of the quantum that we have with the population. But what we should be looking at is the good effort that is being made now by the government, the regulator, the stakeholders, and other investors in the power sector. When you talk about solar, or you talk about hydro, or even gas-fired turbines, the truth is that we need a combination of all of this for the country, no doubt about that. But in doing so, the problem we have has to do with the fact that a lot of money is involved in all of this. We have to be ready. You cannot be paid. You want to ride a Mercedes, Kike Lomo, but you are trying to pay for a Volkswagen. Then it means that it is not going to be easy for you to be able to ride a Mercedes. We have to all wake up to the reality of the cost of production of electricity. I'm not speaking for the regulator. It is their call, but let us try to understand what they are trying to do. It's been a lot of hard work for them. It's been a lot of difficult thing, because it's difficult in Nigeria, because when we are talking about the real cost of electricity, another person will turn up and say, I'm a civil servant. How much is my income? And I cannot say that it is not my business. But in reality, it is not. Because if I'm selling electricity to you, and the cost to me is 80 naira, you cannot expect me to sell to you at less than 80 naira per kilowatt hour. I'm just giving that as an example. But at the same time, if you cannot afford it, that's why you see people bypassing electricity, bypassing their meters. There's a lot of things going on, even where you are in Ikoyi, Lagos, Victoria Island. I mean, there are a lot of those things going on. When we talk about the evils or the ills in this sector or in our society, let us look at those who can make things better. There are only three agents, three different kinds of people. One is government, one is the operators. The third level of those that need to make things better are people like you and I.
Sir, maybe I should just break your train of thoughts at that particular juncture. I know that electricity is one of the most heavily funded agencies that we have in Nigeria over the years. And I'm wondering, who are we to put the blame of not upgrading as we should? Because I know that during Obasanjo's regime, a lot of money was pumped into power
We had
sector.
a lot of corruption too.
And I'm wondering that who are we to lay this blame at their feet? I know it cannot be the new discos and all those that have gotten the or PHCN itself. So who would we blame for it?
What we should do is, I think the investigative journalists need to go to work and dig out what has happened in the last 50 years. What has happened in power sector also happened in the health sector, education sector, and all sectors, to be honest, including infrastructure. So it is the failure of government over the years that has landed us where we are. And in Nigeria, you cannot, there are some things that one cannot say. But like I said, I wish I'm a politician. I wish I were in government. I'll be able to confidently say some of these things. But as a private sector person, the truth is that my own business is for us to get it right now. I'm not looking back at those who did what they did, because there are people that should call some people and ask them to come and account for what they did. But it hasn't happened. It doesn't usually happen in Nigeria. But those were the days of NEPA, PACN, when you had them as a public corporation. Today, when we have them substantially private, in some cases 60-40, what we now need to do is to ask ourselves, what can we do to make things better? And I'm happy to say, and I'm sure Kike Lomo should be one of my, I don't know where the two of you, the madam, live, but I know that Kike Lomo can bear me witness that we as Discos, we have tried to provide some premium services. And I know that where Kike used to live, I know that that place, she had 24-hour electricity. She was not using her generator. So what we plan to do is to have this all over the country.
Chief Oduntan, Kike is in your camp. I understand that. Thank you for that, and thank you for letting us know where Kike belongs. She's in your camp and she's paying for premium. But how do we explain when the chairman of TCN says that they are selling the power that Nigeria does not need to the likes of Togo, Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, and what's it called? And Niger. So well, do we not need these powers that are being sold?
I didn't hear him when he said that, so I cannot talk about what I did not hear. But what I can explain is the issue of selling power to some countries, Niger Republic, and so on. Now, Nigeria, many years ago, had a bilateral agreement with these countries. There's nothing unusual about it.
Absolutely.
And what the reason for that agreement was because Niger, if Nigeria did not agree to be selling power to Niger, for instance, I'm using that as an example, all Niger will do, they will go to the top of the Niger water, River Niger, and they will dam it. Once they dam it, that's the end of our own hydroelectric power plant in Jeba, in Shiroro, and in Kanji. So to protect Kanji Dam and Jeba and Shiroro, that is the reason why Nigeria government say, okay, don't do your own dam, don't dam that water, let it flow down to us, we will be selling to you, and they pay in dollars. And the electricity that we sell to them is not even enough for your state alone. So it's not like we are selling something so big, so massive, but I'm not saying that it is right or it is wrong. I'm just saying that let us put it in perspective, let us understand why government do what they do. But it is not the power that we sell to those countries that is making it impossible for you and I to have enough electricity. It is the consumption that we currently produce, and which the generating companies are working very hard. They are trying to increase it. The transmission company is trying to expand their own network, which is why the outages in the Ikeja area is coming. And the Discos too have been working very hard to ensure that we do things better. Our interest is for today and tomorrow. Today will determine our tomorrow. We are not looking back at the past. We're not saying we're there yet. We still have a long way to go.
All right. Many thanks for that submission, Chief Oduntan. And I think this question actually is borrowed from one of your submission earlier when you spoke about the adversity of 60 years cannot be in 6 years. And I want to ask you, during these 6 years of President Buhari being in power, we've had 3 ministers. The third and the new Minister of Power, I think Honorable Abubakar Aliyu, was just appointed recently. And you know, incompetence was the word used to describe the former Minister for Power. So I must ask you, what should we expect as a roadmap for the Ministry of Power with the new minister?
Thank you very much. Again, you're asking me a question that you should have asked people in government, or you should have asked the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who make the appointment. But what I can say is that I have no doubt that the minister will do well. You can see the roadmap that has already been prepared even before the last minister left. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we put a lot of attention on individual appointees as if they are the only one that make things happen. It is a collective effort. It is about money, naira, and kobo. It is about people, about operators, and about customers. Again, I agree, it's also about leadership. So I believe that the new current leadership will do well. That is not to say that those who did it before didn't do well. It will be very unfair and uncharitable to just erase the period that anybody had spent in that ministry, which is one of the most difficult and one of the most important ministries. So for us, we are not, at this coast, we are not political. We are interested in providing electricity to Nigerians. Mr. President can choose to appoint anybody at any time. What we want is very good regulatory policies, very good environment, so that all of us can do what we're supposed to do. Because when we get it wrong, anytime there's no light, you people blame us, the discos. And we are distributors. You don't even know the people that generate electricity, the producers. You don't know the people that transmit it, the transporters. So it is in our interest at discos for Nigerians to have electricity, for you all to have meters. I know that 3 of you have meters in your house. Others will have their own. So that is what we need to do. Let us work together. Let us stop blaming, naming, and claiming. That's what I believe.
I just want to ask, because you said, let's look beyond, let's not keep looking back at the past. Like now that the distribution companies are thinking of upgrading some of these obsolete equipment, are we sure that these things are going to be upgraded truly? Let's not imagine that in another 5 years, Mr. Oduntan will not be here to defend them or defend his people, that the equipment that were upgraded in 2020, we are talking about in 2027, that we need to upgrade.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Or re-upgrade. Madam,
God bless you. I assure you that I will be here fully in 5 years' time. And Amen. You too, you'll be here. Amen. We'll talk about it. I have no doubt that the upgrades that is going on has come to stay. Just remember that anything engineering always requires renewals. So even when you upgrade, you should be mindful of the fact that after so many years, it shouldn't be 5 years old. It may not even be 10 years. Those things will have to be renewed at some point, but not in the next 5 years. Just trust us for once. I know that we at this point, we have to do more in terms of informing the public what we are trying to do. Because I can see a disconnect here. There's a lack of trust. It's like husband and wife. Where
we don't
every
trust
time
people. Let's
man,
be very factual, sir. Because we have entrusted so much into leadership in this country, and you people have simultaneously failed us. So now I'm going to say this: if we are on this path and we are talking about increments in tariff and all of that, it begs my curiosity to ask, sir, in another 4, 5, 6 years, how will the common man be able to afford his own electricity tariff, looking at even what the minimum wage is now? Are we going to have a balance, or we'll just keep increasing, thinking that, oh, people will pay for their services? Please note that we don't trust people anymore.
We are going to have a balance, but I also want you to be realistic that even whatever balance we strike between people's affordability and provision of electricity has to be within reason. we have to look at the cost of production. It is the cost of production and every cost in the value chain that gets to us which determine the price that people have to pay. People have to pay. Here in England, we have the poor people here, we have the middle class, and we have the rich people. They all pay for their electricity. Whatever welfare thing that needs to be done is the job of government. That's why we have government.
All right, many thanks, Chief Oduntan, for that submission, because we are running out of time. And I must say that it's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk with Kike, this lunchtime show. But before we let you go, let's discuss some of the trending stories that affect us all, that bind us together as Nigerians. And one of the first trending stories that caught our attention is that of the Accountant General Idris, allegedly who married a 16-year-old girl child. I don't want to say adult. Minor. You know, and I'm sure you must have seen the video, you know, online. But Dami, quickly, what's your take on it?
I think I'll return it back to the chairman of NCC, who said that children below or minors below the age of 18 will not be allowed to have a SIM card, but children under the age of 18 can be allowed to marry. We need to check our policies. We need to do it right.
All I know is that Sharia law is something we need to really critically look at and know which one needs to supersede. As far as I'm concerned, it is the constitution of the country that should supersede all these other laws that are under it. If we do not make that a standing thing, we're still going to have this issue of underage marriage because Sharia law would always support them.
All right. For me, I think that is it 61 or a 60-year-old leader marrying an underage, as far as I'm concerned, I think is a government official, and in this is a very disgusting act for me. And I feel that psychologically, I don't think he's all right. Yes, I said so. Because I actually also thought that in Buhari's administration, I felt that maybe it will put an end to all of this child marriages and all of that, especially knowing that it's very rampant in the north and all of that. But when we need to put laws in place, you know, especially when it comes to the education of a girl child, and give them the right or the equal right to the boys, we tend not to be doing what is expected of us, especially those who are in power. You know, and the Constitution of Nigeria, I think, says that until, I think, when you're above 18 or something, that is when you can marry. Yeah, but the girl 18. Child's right is under domesticated only, I think, in 23 states and not all states. Not all states. And I stand to be corrected. I'm not sure if I did enough research on that, but I can remember that part of the Constitution. But it's just unfortunate that we're still going through all of this. But quickly, Chief Oduntan, what's your take on this with this trending story?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say that, like the way our politicians in National Assembly say, I hereby align myself to the submission of my ladies on the panel. The only thing I would want to add is that I'm an Egba High Chief, Abeokuta Ogun State. In Egba land, nobody is allowed to marry any girl under the age of 18, and it does not happen in Egba land. But me, I only know about Egba land, so I come in peace.
I think Egba people, all the Egba people around me, they are so naughty. All right, many thanks for that submission. I think the second trending story that caught our attention, I think we have a few more minutes, is that of Frank Umba. The police DCP in a press gathering stated that the arrest of a notorious driver who allegedly conspired with criminal gangs to kidnap passengers. You know, when I saw this video this morning when I shared it in our WhatsApp group, I was, you know, horrified. I think, what is going on in our country? Lolo, what's your take on this?
Poverty is everywhere. We need to know that some of these people that they catch, they are not the real culprits. They are just, it's like catching the youngest under the food chain. They should do proper investigation so that the kingpins that are at the top of the food chain, once we can nab those people, you will see that some of these little ones, it will be easy to eliminate and eradicate such action.
All right. So for me, I just feel that I'm glad that I reached out to DCP, and he will be coming on the show next week. But let me start by saying that our country is becoming more unsafe by the day. The rate of crime, I said the rate of crime and criminality has gone beyond what we can ever imagine. Is alarming. And adoptions and criminals are just kidnapping at will, and frequently, like it's like they're stealing sachet water. As far as I'm concerned, I'm asking myself, may God save us from this country. Anyways, I'm a bit less worried because the police are doing their job now. I know that some of you don't want to hear that, the likes of Dami, but because, you know, when I say this, I'm very sure you all know that, you know, maybe because I'm connected to the a police officer, a policeman who happens to be my father as well, and I want to use this opportunity to commend them, because for me, before actually touching on topics like this, I try to reach out to different people and all of that. Hence the reason why DCP has agreed to be on the show. However, I wonder what has happened to the minds of the people that they've kidnapped, or they are still kidnapping. How would they have turned out, especially with everything that is happening presently? And when do we have to stop this? Because for God's sake, kidnapping and seeking for ransom is another thing, and kidnapping and using people for money rituals is another thing. So why are people just so crime-driven these days? Because of the money, because of money, and especially with the fact that, you know, a lot of people just feel that, you know, aside poverty, Lolo, I think that this is a disaster to our country, and I feel that this keeps putting us in a terrible map when it comes to the international bodies when they look at us. And I hope that the hands of the law is quick enough to quickly stop this trend, because it's becoming really bad for us. And I feel that at this point, you know, there's a Yoruba adage that says, because most times we all can come here and come and analyze this, but those people who are actually going through it, you know, are the ones that are actually going through this pain. Quickly, Chief Oduntan, what's your submission on this trending story?
Well, first of all, let me say that the Nigerian police officers, especially those at the top, they're working very hard. I met Frank Iba a few months ago when the IG visited the palace of the Alaki of Igbaland. And I believe that is a very lovely, brilliant man. The issue of criminality and poverty. Yes, there's a link between poverty and criminality, but poverty should not be an excuse for criminality. What I also agree with is what one of my sisters there said earlier, that they should endeavor to trace this crime to the kingpin, the sponsors. The moment you are able to arrest and prosecute successfully the sponsor of any criminal, you'll be able to deal with the crime. The moment you are still dealing with the petty criminals and you don't go to those who actually send them, they will not get to the end of it. But I think the police have been making a lot of waves nowadays. A lot has been achieved in the last couple of weeks. We should just continue to step up. And I appeal to the public too. The police cannot do it alone. We have to give them information. We have to assist the police in ensuring that in their intelligence work, they gather intelligence and deal with this crime. What is going on in Nigeria today is really a shame.
All right, with that, we've come to the end of another episode of Real Talk with Kike, and I must say many thanks again, Chief Oduntan, for creating time to be on this show today. It's really an awesome time to have a resourceful guest like you, and of course, to my co-hosts, you all are doing well.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to be spreading the gospel, and I think that it's imperative for us not to keep quiet and not to keep looking. We'll keep saying ours, and I believe that one day God will grant us the enablement to enact what we have been saying.
All right, my name remains Kike Electric, and so we'll come your way next week. Please keep being real. Bye now.